Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Rolling.
We're talking about you.
Yeah.
This is your turn.
Yeah, so this is a turn the table, if you will, podcast. Mindy Wiseman in the studio. Hello,
Hi.
Mindy. You hit me up. Obviously, I'm just letting everyone else know, but
Right.
you hit me up and you're like, hey, can we do one where we talk about you? And I'm like, man, I like talking about me. Sure. Let's do that, So here we are. And I don't know what she's going to ask me. Something I'm sure music will be a part of it. But
Music's pretty much all of it because I just want to really showcase who you are as a musician, because I feel like everybody has that thing that everybody sees, but people don't often see the reasons behind that, or what's deeper than the surface.
Yeah,
so.
The evolution and all these things. Yeah, of course. I've had one discussion about this once on a radio spot, but I was so unprepared and I wasn't used to being in this sort of atmosphere.
Right.
And they were
kind of like me right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. They were asking me, and I'm just just stuttering over my words. Oh, it was so bad. Matter of fact, the guy that did that radio spot with me was the one I had in my studio 2 days ago.
That's funny.
Yeah, but for anybody listening, that's Rick Barr. Rick Barr, the man with the golden voice. Well, no, that belongs to another radio DJ. Mm-hmm. Anyway. All right, so...
I met someone named Candy Bar one time. Their parents really did that to them. Swear. Her legal name was Candy. Oh. And her last name was Barr. B-A-R-R. And I was like...
That's a fucking stripper name.
Yeah, but it was her, real name.
That's definitely a stripper name. And I remember my son's mom and I, we used to, joke around and shit, and we came up with our own rapper names.
Nice.
Back in the day. Mine was Piff Poofy, and hers was Candy Rappa.
That's funny. That's funny.
So, yeah. All right, well, I'll let you take over the reins here.
So, let's, what got you into music initially? Was it just, a love for music? Is there, a turning point that you can remember that you were like, yeah, I want to do this?
I think it was the idea of being on stage and having people look at you, which is an oddity I'm sure we'll get into later. But
yep.
I remember when I was a kid, my mom had this nut and bolts guitar player figurine and all this, and she said it belonged to my natural father who was a musician as well. And I just remember looking at that as a kid and being like, man, how cool would it be to be on stage? And always fantasized about stuff like that. And when I'd watch movies with my dad, technically my stepdad, but I would watch movies with him, and I would really get attached to the soundtracks of them. And then when my parents weren't home, I would blast it and look in the mirror and lip sync and pretend like I was performing the songs, and all this stuff. I don't know. I think I liked the, the spotlight of it at first.
Yeah.
But I would also pay attention to songs on the radio. And I remember one time specifically, I think it was a Pink Floyd song. My mom, God, I hope she's not listening, was drunk. And she was on the floor, playing air guitar and all this stuff. And I was looking at her and I said, Mom, I feel like I can predict the next note. I don't know what the song is, but every time I hear this note, and I guess the next one, I'm right. And
right.
she just looks at me, she goes, because music's in you, Steve. It's in you.
Yeah, so you almost felt like you had a mental connection to the music somewhere.
An artistic connection for sure, which branches out into many different avenues.
Yeah.
But for this conversation specifically, it definitely honed in to the music when I was younger.
That's cool.
I mean, I just always loved music. I loved listening to music. When I was 12 years old, I got into fucking Nirvana, man.
Yes.
And I just
greatest band ever. Courtney killed Kurt. It's fine.
Yeah, Billy Corgan killed Kurt. So anyway. Yeah, and I just, again, when I got into listening to Nirvana and becoming a grunge head and all this stuff,
right.
I'd kind of emulate that,
All right, so this is, not in my list, but, I need to know right now. Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana.
God, you know what? Listen, I wrote, when we were in 7th grade, we had to write a report on, like, a famous dead person, right? And everybody else is, like, George Washington. And I'm, like, Kurt Cobain. It had to be 25 pages long. Mine was 87 pages long. My teacher was like, I literally quit grading. So I'm, like, a diehard Kurt fan, but I still think that Eddie Vedder's a god.
Well, again, mine's more nostalgic because
Yeah.
Nirvana was really, like what I just fell into. And actually, even before my obsession with Nirvana, like, I listened to Stone Temple Pilots and Soundgarden. Like,
so you're
my,
a little bit older
brother's
than me.
albums.
Do you remember watching, like, the Unplugged Nirvana? Like, that performance that's, like...
Yeah, I used to have it on DVD.
Yeah.
I love it.
And just, so, like, looking back on it, I've read, like, so much on this. Like, this is completely unrelated. But, like, looking back on it, do you feel like he was trying to tell the world something? About where he was, like, mentally? Because obviously his music did, but I feel like, looking back on that performance, knowing what we know now, there's something almost like... What's the word I'm looking
haunting?
for? Yeah, yeah.
He trying to tell the world and intentionally? No.
But he did, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all do that.
Right.
I think
right,
we all glow our own aura.
Yep.
No matter how much we try to pretend it's a different aura, or, you know, like, all these different things. People have a hard time understanding that, you know, we can see the real. We might not be able to connect the dots of what it is or why or how, but, you know, there's like, there's definitely something there. Another good one, also that goes with the Unplugged, is the Alice in Chains Unplugged.
Yes.
You want to talk about a cry for help?
Yeah.
It's Lane Staley in that album.
Yep.
I mean, that's a crazy one. But kind of revert back to your.
Totally off topic.
Oh no, that's what I love about these podcasts. We can just do that. Thing that I really respect about Pearl Jam is a freedom. There's a freedom with Eddie Vedder. You know, a confidence.
Yes.
You know, not a big old question mark. And actually, I've gone back and forth of what songs, like, if I passed away and I ever had a will that I wanted a song to play, it would actually be Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam. And it's kind of funny why. There's a multi-layer here. Number one, nostalgia. I love that song. That was like one of the, even though I was Nirvana all the way, when I heard that song, there was just something beautiful about it. I just love the guitar. I love the freedom. And I love that I still, to this day, even though I can look up the lyrics, I don't want to. I don't understand a fucking word he says.
Right.
And it's almost like, have you ever seen Shawshank Redemption?
A long time ago.
Okay. Well, there's this scene in Shawshank Redemption where Andy Dufresne breaks into the warden's office or whatever and plays this record of French ladies just singing, you know, in French or whatever. And Morgan Freeman makes a commentary. He's like, still to this day, I have no idea what those ladies were saying, and I don't want to know, because to me it just meant freedom. Right. And that same concept is how I feel about Yellow Ledbetter and Pearl Jam, you know. And it's ridiculous. Yes, of course. I'm a fucking 80s, 83 kid, you know, like, I grew up right in the heart of grunge. It hit me right as I was turning, you know, into that age, you know. So, yeah, but overall, Nirvana, for me, it had the biggest impact. But I definitely respect both of them. And again, I mean, Soundgarden, you know, and all these, like, I love it.
Do you remember Supertramp?
I remember, the name sounds familiar.
My aunt got me, like, so on Supertramp when I was younger.
I don't know Supertramp.
It's not one of those ones that hung with me, because now I'm like, why did I listen to it?
Is it grunge or?
No, it's
I'm gonna look them up.
Odd.
Let's see what Supertramp is about.
What's the first instrument you ever played, though, while you're...
Oh.
Like, what is the first time you ever played an instrument and, like, you were like, all right, this is cool?
It was a guitar.
Yeah?
I said the word guitar and I typed in guitar.
Nice.
You know, I'll just look this up later. Yeah, it was... I think it was guitar. Yeah, it was guitar. There was a little moment there where I wanted to play trombone because my brother played trombone, but then I don't think I ever actually went through with it. But I remember going to the school and, you know, my mom doing the thing, but I don't think I ever actually played it. Yeah, guitar was definitely my first instrument, and I can actually go more in the depth with my experience by, like, the first summer I fell in love with guitar.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I lived in Texas. It was 1995 or 96. Maybe even earlier. God, I'm my memory's slipping. Could have been 94. Anyway, my brother brought home this Flying V guitar that his friend had hand painted for him, you know, and it was,
and you thought it was the coolest thing ever.
well, yeah, I was, again, you know, the lights, the glamour, ooh,
Right.
like showmanship, all right.
Right.
And without my brother's knowledge, again, it was summertime, so we were off school. I would stay up all night, and I would steal that guitar and go climb up in the tree in the backyard, the very top of the tree, and just sit there and just pluck the strings and like, I don't know what I was doing.
Right.
You know, but
And you didn't then, but you knew that you were
yeah,
doing something.
It intrigued me so much that like, you know, my mom had an acoustic Yamaha, which I still have.
That's cool.
And that's what I eventually learned on. But so I kind of pulled it out when my brother was home, so I'd pick on it, and my brother showed me a little riff of a song, and like I just picked it right up. And he looked at me and goes, "What the hell, dude?" He's like, "It took me a week to learn that, you know." And I just picked it right up, and so from then on, what I would do is, did you ever watch Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Okay. When the bands would play on Saturday Night Live, I would sit there and watch the guitar players and mimic what they were playing and learn songs that way.
Just like tonal, like hearing it.
Seeing it.
Seeing it.
Seeing what chords they were playing.
Okay.
And like, I didn't even know what a chord was. I didn't
Right.
even know the names of these chords. I was just
Right.
like, fingers go here. Okay, that's what that sound makes. And that's essentially what got me starting to play guitar, is that little self-taught thing. You know, I've never had a lesson, and I never really dove into like the book side of it. You know, I just played everything. It was so rogue. I mean, it was years. We're talking like in my 20s and in my 30s. I still didn't even know the names of the strings on the guitar.
Right.
I was just so ignorant, but like I just knew how it sounded, and I knew
Right.
what these patterns, the noise that these patterns made. So
Nice.
yeah, and then I couldn't put it down after that.
So like going back, like you have that vivid memory of like your first time really like connecting, but do you have a vivid memory of the first time you ever performed like in front of a crowd?
Yes.
When was it, and what did it feel like for you? Because I feel like, so when, I know like I'm passionate about what I do, so like when I'm like taking pictures and I get a shot that's like perfect, like I feel this like euphoria. Did you feel something similar to that on stage performing in front of a crowd, or was it like
I think
was it nervy?
More euphoric for me to know that I was going on stage, but actually being on stage was a whole different story. And yeah, so I'd played in front of my friends at this time, you know, like, you know, when I was confident enough that I was okay to get up there. And it was a little thing at my high school, which I went to, Hilliard Darby, class of 2001. And it was called Gallery X. And it was just kind of like an open mic thing. And so I signed up, and I got there, and I started getting nervous, like really fucking nervous.
So was it like a battle of the bands kind of thing?
Just an open mic thing. Like,
Yeah, okay.
Just like, come show us your talents. No competition. No, nothing like that. Just come do your thing.
Right.
And it's kind of funny because the first thing I said when I got on stage is something that like rang true for many years after. And I said, because they were taking photos for the school paper, I said, "Please don't take any photos of me."
That is still valid, Stevie.
Yeah. I was like, still, just don't take any photos of me.
Because I said initially, let me get some headshots and like some cool shots of your guitar and like interview you. And you were like, no.
Yeah.
You can interview me, but no posed pictures.
Yeah.
So I had to follow you to the winery to get pictures.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. Those are
problem.
great pictures. And I definitely put on a Stevie Cade mask for some of those.
Yes.
But to a certain point, and then I felt comfortable. And I was like, I was cool with it,
Right.
you know? But yeah, so I told them, you know, just don't take any photos of me. And I just closed my eyes and just did my song.
We just felt it.
Yeah, I did Stone Temple Pilots. I'm half the man I used to be. Yeah.
Nice.
I did that on a 12-string
I
guitar.
know you didn't do Wicked Garden at the school.
Probably could have. I mean, it was fucking late 90s. Like we got away with a little bit more then.
Yeah. Yeah. Now everybody would be upset.
Yeah, but that was my first time on stage, and it the way I remember it went pretty well. But then it gave me this boost of confidence. Like I had one of the guys at the school, I don't know if he was a teacher or whatever. He's like, "Hey, I saw you at Gallery X. Why don't you come to my church and play a song at my church?" And I'm like, "Okay." I didn't know what to play at a fucking church. I didn't know. I played Knocking on Heaven's Door.
I mean,
and I sucked. Like my voice cracked. I was playing the wrong chords, and I'm like, "Well, just let me know if you want me to come back." He's like, "Yeah, I'll let you know."
Never let you know.
No. Never again.
That's funny. So, I mean, kind of like bouncing off of that, like, are there certain songs that you play that, like, awaken, like, emotions in you? Because I know, like, sometimes it's probably easy, especially when you have a set that you, like, perform pretty often. Like, sometimes you can get on, like, autopilot, and you're going in, you're performing this song. Are there certain songs that you can't help but feel?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And and this will go, you can ask any musician this, and most of them will probably give you the same answer that, yeah, there's a lot of songs that you do that are just, robotic.
Yeah.
You do them because you like them, but, it's like...
Or they're a crowd favorite, or,
right,
I mean, you're a performer, so...
But the thing about my set is I try to play more askew songs that you don't hear everywhere. I know it sounds a little cliche, but...
No, I loved it, that it wasn't just, like, typical, like, bar music, honestly. Like, and I have nothing against, like, typical bar music, you know what I mean? But it was nice and refreshing to hear songs that you don't hear often.
Right. Nice. I always tell people, just because I suck at requests, and people are like, "Hey, do you know this song?" I'm like, "No, but sit back."
Right.
But I always tell people, like, I'll just play the songs you forgot you loved, and a few that you loved.
Yeah, that's valid.
That's what I try to do. But like one of those songs, it's nothing special. It's If You Could Only See. If you could only see the way. Yeah. I love that song. Like, I love playing it. The complexity of the guitar is fun. My hands all over the fretboard.
Yep.
I'm very confident with it. I know all the words. And, like, I get into that song.
Yeah.
Very, it's just powerful. Again, probably nostalgia, a lot of it. But
it might be, because that song's one that still gets me, too. Like, when it comes on, I'm just like...
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, really, but I know what you mean. Not from your point of view at all. But...
And then it's probably the same thing, but I'll just go off and kind of make it my own a little bit. And I have fun. And then I enjoy seeing the crowd. I enjoy watching people tap their toes.
People's eyes light up when you play a certain song.
And I'll pay attention when I see their lips move and stuff like that. Like, I know who I'm playing to when these songs come on.
Oh yeah, I guess I never really thought about it like that. Like, you can kind of tell, like, you probably have, like, a different way of, like, being able to read your audience, too.
My set list is designed to figure it out, because, like, my first 30 minutes of playing is just a random bag of music.
Yeah.
And it's usually the same random bag of music every time.
Because then you can see what way to take the rest of your set.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's exactly.
Genius.
And because I'll just read the crowd, I mean, sometimes, and I was talking about this with Rick Barr on my podcast 2 days ago, but there's times that you walk into an establishment and they have the jukebox on, and you hear all the songs playing on the jukebox. You're like, "Oh boy, I'm not sure if I'm gonna fit," or you're like, "I might fit perfectly."
Yeah.
But then usually the jukebox doesn't really tell the story.
No, because there's one guy that put $25 in it. Not that I've ever been that guy. I have. It's a lie.
Well, it's not just that, but I think people get so honed into their own music that they
forget there's the songs that they love.
Right. There's a refreshment, like a oh, hey, I haven't heard this in a while.
Yeah.
That, like, when you're listening to the radio station in your car, and then, like, you turn to another radio station,
yeah,
and then you hear all these different songs. You're like, oh yeah,
yep,
okay, let me get out of that echo chamber that I was in before and get into this one.
Right.
Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
So, reading the crowd is. Like, I'll like, let's say if I'm playing somewhere that there's not a lot of people, or the people aren't engaging, like, they're just not clapping, they're not applauding, and it happens often. Right. And if I can see one person, like, moving their lips or tapping their toes, or tapping on the table, I will hold it on that one person. I'm performing for you because I know you're listening.
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of, like, the rest of the room will go dark, and I'm just performing to that person. And that's that's for my mental health.
Absolutely.
So I feel like I'm justified in what I'm doing up here.
Yeah.
Because there's been plenty of times where I didn't feel justified for what I was doing up there.
Well, right. And I think anybody doing what they love and not feeling valued at the time is like a huge blow. So if you can just like find that value in your audience, it's like...
Yeah, it can be distressing. Like there's certain gigs that I played, less now, but like at these very like low-key bistros or something where you're just background ambient noise.
Yeah.
And they're fun. They're really nice. People are just appropriate, applauding, but like they're just not really engaged. They're doing their own thing, and they're the ones that keep telling you to turn it down because that's not your purpose. Isn't to be there and be the show of the evening. You're there just to have entertainment. Again, ambient sound. Those are the most exhausting for me because there is no real engagement.
Right.
And that's I tend to stay away from those types of gigs now.
Yeah.
But I'll do them every now and again. But yeah, it's very important for me, and I think most musicians to have that to have that validity, when you're on stage. So
yeah, for sure. I think we kind of already went over like your favorite song to perform. I think, or is there like an?
Oh no, there's another angle to that.
Yeah.
Whenever I get a chance to play my originals.
Yes.
Which I don't think I usually don't.
Didn't you play an original at Hawking though?
I don't remember. I might have.
I'm pretty sure I remember you talking about it.
I might have. Sometimes I'll throw one in, especially like if the crowd is engaging, but they're still not really into it. I'll throw one in just to get it out there. But my originals, and I think more so because I don't play them as often. That's when I can really get into my headspace.
Yes.
I'm taken back to that moment where I wrote that song, and maybe my evolution since then, or those are the ones that really get to me.
So when you break it down, almost like being a musician is like songwriting and then playing an instrument and singing. Like, what is your favorite aspect? Like, and I know that you just touched on your originals, but do you like enjoy the songwriting aspect?
No.
No?
No. I've often described it as exhausting for me.
Yeah.
It's not something I totally admire and respect musicians that can sit down, write a song, in just a few hours and spit it out, and they're decent songs, or wonderful songs. I can't do that. Now I can sit down and like come up with a melody on my guitar, but then I
don't know the words.
Right.
Where do you plug this in?
If I don't have anything in here to say,
right,
then nothing comes out, and that little melody will go into my Frankenstein bin in my mind,
right,
where it just sits until that time when all the emotions of whatever I'm feeling,
and then you're like, oh wait, this goes with that,
right? Then I just kind of sew it back together, and
make
it, as I said, like my Frankenstein bin, I just pull it out and sew it into whatever song I'm doing now. But when I write songs, it's almost like, this is gonna sound weird, it's almost like throwing up. Like,
oh no, I get it.
It really is. It's like, okay, well, shit. Let me clean up this mess and turn it into a song.
No, I get it.
Yeah, and that's usually how it goes for me. Like I average maybe a new song. I'd say 1 or 2 songs a year at best because I don't actively write.
Yeah.
I keep a journal and all these things, but there's certain times where I'm just beat or, I'm an emotional person.
Right.
I think deeply about my emotions, and so usually my songs are some sort of, like more somber, and things like this. Sometimes I'll bust something else out, but like even a song that I think is happy, people are like, "Oh, this song is so sad." I'm like, "Oh, well, shit."
But it ended well. That's what matters.
I mean, yeah. Like one of my most popular songs for a long time was called "The Times," and I wrote that song to be a very uplifting song. And just through the connections that I had, I was actually able to play on QFM 96, the Torgan Elliott show live. And this was like 2012, and I played that song, and it was like in the popularity with all my friends. Like everyone loved this song. Like I would do the song on stage, and my friends would like line up behind me and like sing the chorus for me and all this stuff. Yeah. It's just one of those things. I played it in Torg on the Torgan Elliott show. He goes, "Wow, you sound like a sad Zach Brown." Fuck. I don't even know what that means, man, but thank you for saying it very loudly, live, on air.
If you think, though, like, Bittersweet Symphony is very similar. Like, when you just listen without computing the words, it sounds very uplifting. But when you listen and, like, compute the words, it's like, damn, man. Like,
I think mine went the other way. I think...
So yours sounded sad, but the words weren't. But the music behind it. Okay.
Yeah, the whole point of the times was, these things have kind of troubled me in my life, but I'm taking them back. I'm taking power over this situation. I could see where it gets sad. My mom hates the song, but
really,
she thinks it's about her mistakes with me and all this stuff. I'm like, Mom, it's not. Just stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
I could see where she's coming from, but it's not like that. She's taking it honed in on her own personal level.
I get it. Like,
but it's all subjective. I can't tell her that she's wrong in feeling that way.
Right, because it's not one of those songs that invokes emotion in her, and she's just like, whoa, man. Like,
it's all subjective, and once I put it out there, it's yours now. It's whoever's listening to it and takes it in. And I thought one of the oddest things about when that song specifically was my first original that people just really connected to. And it was so strange for me when people would come up to me and be like, I connect with that song so much, Steve. I connect with it. When you said you never met your father. Well, I met my father, but he was never there. Like, they would have a whole different meaning of why this song meant whatever it did to them. And I'm just like, weird. Like, okay.
I'm like laughing because there's going to be people like still singing your lyrics in like 10 years. And this is how I know. There was this kid in Lancaster when I was younger. He was just a coffee shop musician. I still, like, I even recently have been like, I wonder what Dusty Innocenti's doing. Can't find him. But I still remember all of the words to one of his songs. Like, every single word. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, it was just one of his originals. And he just played in coffee shops in Lancaster and Athens. But I still remember every single word because of what it meant to me at the time. So that it's like super, like...
stuff like
there's
that
going to be
beautiful.
people like, man, the Stevie Cade song.
Well, and... there are people like that. When I do open mics and my friends come out, I run open mic on Sundays right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my friends will come out and I'll play some originals and I see them singing along with me.
Do you know that's the only lake bar I've, like, never been in?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
We won't name it here, but yeah, it's... I'll tell you more about that off air. But
well, that might be a conversation about why I've never been in there.
It's a horse of a different color.
Yes.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But
not necessarily a bad thing. Just like a very...
I think its history follows it more than what its actuality is.
Yes, and that's probably very valid because I have seen... Anyways, well, yeah. But yeah. So, what is your least favorite song to perform? Like, what is that song that you're like, oh, I know this is going to get people going. People always request this one. Don't really want to do it, but we'll throw it in the hat.
When it comes down to it, Simple Man. Yeah, it's a popular one. And well, there's
This is so morbid just because of everything that's going on right now, but I'm going to play that song at my dad's funeral whenever, God willing, I get to keep him longer than not.
I'm not dismissing the song.
Right.
I actually really enjoy this song. Shinedown's version is like one of my favorite covers ever. For me, that high note, because I'm a simple, I can't hit it. Not in the key that I played in.
Right.
It's just a hair out of my range. So I actually sing the harmony to it, which makes its own unique sound to it, but I feel like I'm robbing the song, and that's why I don't enjoy playing it.
I see.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll do it if somebody throws money in the bucket and they request Simple Man.
Right.
I will perform the song, but until then, I don't.
Right.
Right.
So, like, great song, not for you.
Right. I don't feel like I do it justice.
So do you feel like, and I guess I understand that. Like, you're like, okay, great idea, but it's going to be subpar because I don't feel like I'm there. You know what I mean?
Right. I've always tried to have this integrity of, if you can't do a song just as good or better than the original, then do it your own way and make it just as good as in your own way.
Yeah.
And if I make it my own way and I don't think it's just as good, then I'm not excited about playing.
Right.
I'm always concerned, people are going to think this, they're going to think that.
Is this going to reflect negatively on me as a
Right.
musician?
They're like,
because
why
I know my limits, but...
Yeah, why isn't he taking the high notes? Okay,
Right.
And I'll try to play with it. I'll be like, I'll take the harmonies. You guys got the chorus, and like try to like,
and then it's like super awkward because
way,
one guy in the crowd's like singing along.
Yeah. There's a handful of songs I refuse to play. I won't play Wagon Wheel. I don't enjoy. There is a version that.
Listen, Old Crow Medicine Show is the only one who has ever put out a version of Wagon Wheel that I like. Everybody's like Darius Rucker, and I'm like, bro, what? Like, Old Crow is where it's at.
There's a version of
it.
But
I'm like a super like OAR, like I don't know, vibes.
There's a version of it that I will play in my living room. It's slower, and I try to change the ambience of it.
Yeah.
But I'm not confident enough that it will be received well.
Keep working on
it. But it's one of those songs. Like I've had to grow a very thick skin when people come up and request songs that I do know, but I don't want to play them.
Like The Wedding Singer.
No, that was a first. That was the first. That lady asked me to play The Wedding Singer, and I kind of wish I knew it because that's a fun, just off the beaten path song.
Yeah.
So actually I've flirted with the idea of bringing that on just for fun.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of them is Wagon Wheel or Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Things like that. Can you play House of the Rising Sun? These are songs that I've seen musicians play over and over and over again. And now, I have some of those songs on my set, but I don't want to copy and paste their set. I'm doing my set. This is a different version. I don't want to be, put random musician name here. I'm Stevie Cade. You gotta come see me because
I want you to play In the Pines.
You were talking about. I can't hit that. In the Pines.
I feel like you could.
I've tried.
I feel like you could.
If I mess with the keys a little bit, but that can get wonky. Again, if I feel like I can't do it justice compared to Kurt's version of that, that's when I'm like.
Do you know the history of that song though? It is okay. So I just looked it up last week, and it goes back like centuries, and it's like there are so many different.
Yellow Leadbelly is. Or Leadbelly, Yellow Leadbelly is who initially did that song. It was a black girl, right?
But then they said that it came from an old song before that. So it's supposed to, like, there's all these different, as with everything, I feel like, there's different versions, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I was like, one of those things I Google at, like, 1 o'clock in the morning, and the next thing I know, it's 3:30. I do that a lot. But, like, some of, just the way the different words have been changed and, like, what it means, it's super interesting. So it's actually...
The Lovin' Brothers.
They've said that it goes all the way back to Shakespeare.
Oh.
How it's like the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
But just like reading how far, like what that song meant, because I know what it meant to me at the time.
Yeah.
And of course, like it was like super, like it was, I don't know. I remember like a point in my addiction where I heard that song and I was just like, yeah, like I feel this on a different level. Now the person next to me probably didn't feel it on that level, but I was just like, you know what I mean? I felt it on a different level.
Yeah. And for anybody who doesn't know, Mindy had an addiction in her early life. We did a whole podcast about it. I'll put that in the link below so you can be privy. But you threw that out there. I just want to let the audience know that there's a history there with that.
Yeah.
So
almost 6 years.
Yeah.
So.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks.
Yes. And I think that song specifically, not only do I just love it because, again, my Nirvana history, but my brother passed away in 96. And my brother, he kind of had a Kurt Cobain look to him.
Yeah.
He was a skinny, good-looking guy, long blonde hair,
right.
Like a lot of people, said, oh, dude, you look like Kurt Cobain,
Right.
And In the Pines was one of his favorite songs.
Really?
His girlfriend at the time, which is now my other brother's wife, she would say when that song came on, he would just scream it in the guitar in the car, In the Pines. So like now when I hear that song, like I always imagine him singing that song in the car. But,
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if you'll hear that song from me anytime
But
soon.
if like like Kurt almost didn't scream it. I don't feel like it was like screamy to. It wasn't screamy to me.
Girl, that was the screamiest fucking song I've ever heard acoustically.
But I don't feel like.
Here, we'll look it up.
I don't feel like it was like a screamy scream. It was like a feely scream. Does that make sense?
That was his cry for help.
Maybe. Because I know at the time I heard it, it definitely was mine.
Hopefully, YouTube doesn't pull me down for this. They probably will. I'm just gonna try to play the end of it. Let's see here.
It almost makes me want to cry every time I even hear him speak.
All right. What do I do? It's about right here. Okay. This is the screamiest part right here.
I don't feel like that's screaming. I feel like it's like guttural. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
It's to each their own.
I feel like that was from his soul, like lower than his soul into his stomach. Like he was like, here it is.
Well, yeah, and that's the beauty about these things. You know, once he performed that and put it out, now the mythology begins.
Right.
You know, where did it come from? You
Yes.
know, and all this stuff. And you've
Well,
obviously
I mean, and
come
that's
up with your own
honest.
version
That's
of
the
it.
honest to God truth. Because had he not performed it, I probably wouldn't know the song. If we're being real.
Right. Well, yeah. It was crazy. My parents knew the song. I'm like, how the hell do you know this song? Oh, it's an old song. I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he
the
says
only
it.
old songs I know, remember, like My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. I remember that one. That's all I remember.
No.
Oh my gosh. Maybe I just had an old school choir teacher. I don't know.
My body lies over.
It's like you have to like sing it real deep. Like, anyways, that's completely unrelated to what we're
It don't
talking about. But
matter.
I just like flashed back to like third grade choir standing on the risers, like knowing damn well that I could not sing and whatever.
It's funny you say that. When I started playing guitar, going back to like the beginnings of it, you know, I remember it was actually I was doing Nirvana Polly, and it was the first time I ever sang and played at the same time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it, you know,
Yeah.
But I'd always take these lower notes, these lower registers, because I wasn't confident, and then, you know, my parents went to church, and I kind of flirted with getting in the choir there.
Yeah.
And again, I would do the same thing. I would take the bass notes.
You were singing Polly at church choir. Sounds like a good time.
But I was singing whatever hymns they wanted me
You know.
to sing. And one guy's like, why don't you just take it higher? I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that. And then one day I took it higher, and I swear the whole fucking choir just turned their heads like, yes, more of that. Do more of that.
Right.
And that's when I started putting my voice up higher. But yeah, what you said.
It was one of those moments that like
triggered my
you don't
memory
forget.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like going into like the emotional aspect of music, like something that I've noticed that I think is super interesting, and this isn't directly related to you, but just I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. I know that like years ago, like when I was growing up, like music therapy was not a thing.
What music therapy?
Yeah. Okay.
I thought you said music theory. And I was like, no, that was definitely a thing.
And let me not like completely discount it by saying it was not a thing, because I'm sure it was.
But for you,
It wasn't something that like you heard about. It wasn't something that was a widely used method of therapy. And I've like, what are your thoughts on it? Because I do think that music has the ability to awaken parts of your brain, awaken parts of your brain, just like us sitting here talking about certain songs, right? Like we're talking about certain songs and they're bringing back like emotions and memories and things are flashing back. Like, do you think it's cool, I guess, that like music therapy is like more widely like used?
I don't think I know. I think music therapy has always been a thing. We just didn't know it was a thing.
Yes.
That's you.
Or maybe it didn't have a name. We just
Right, it
listened
didn't
to
have a
music
name.
and we
You
felt
called-
shit
it did
and
have
we
a
got
name.
it out.
It did have a name. You called them hippies.
Valid.
You know, but even
Valid.
though like music therapy, think about the '80s. You know, you got your working class man. You know, out there doing his job, working hard. Then that song comes on, every day taking care of business and working overtime. You know, and they're like, yeah, that's me.
There was like a mental erection.
Right. Yeah. You know, they're like, that's me. They don't realize that that's mental therapy. They're feeling what they do is being justified through music, and now they're going to go buy that album because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel
right.
That is music therapy. The word music therapy, I don't know when it came about. It could have been around forever.
I guess I don't know either. Really.
I don't fucking know. But I think. I think the word therapy has always had like a negative connotation to it. Like people think, oh, therapy, mental health, bad.
No, yeah.
You know, but that we know now that's not the case. So yeah, I think music therapy has been around since music.
Probably we just
I mean, think about Indians, you know, or back in the tribal days. You know, you would have people sitting around a fire just doing these crazy music. The whole old ancient, you know, Egyptian tunes, you know, or music that came out of Asia, like this. Music, it's always been therapeutic, and I think everyone's. I don't think there's a question about it. I think American people have a hard time understanding possibly that's what that was for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't have a foot.
Right. No, yeah. I just thought it was cool because I've noticed it like just like really like gaining popularity. And so like I think it's great.
I think the term is probably.
But I just think, are we slapping that term on every? You know what I mean? But
Why not?
Right.
Why not? What's? I don't see anything wrong with. I mean, do you live life? Everything you do in life is a part of therapy. If you consider therapy as mental health. Absolutely. You know, whether it's negative or positive, you know, falsehoods even, you know, it's still therapy. Right. You know, like, I think therapy can, as I said, it has. I don't think therapy is a negative thing, and like I just had this conversation very recently that I'm like it has this stigma with it. Like if you have to go to therapy, you're broken. That's not true. I feel like you can go to therapy to unlock more of your brain. Like, okay, I've maybe stuffed this. Let me pull it back out and see how it can be of use to help me excel forward. So and so you think of therapy, you think psychiatrist, you think, you know, oh no, there's something wrong with me, you know. But I think people forget that the positive things are therapy too. Yes. And I think that's something that the whole world has known since the beginning of time, that music is a positive thing. Yeah. You know, but so music's almost like therapeutic in its existence. Yeah. Like that's almost, it's it is. I mean, I would love to be there for when the first instrument was created, or like when these little freaky, you know, I wonder what the first de-evolved creatures, or just evolving creatures, you know, started making these weird sounds that like came together. T-Rexes with guitars. Yeah. You know, I mean, think about, now that you say that, you know, what about these animals, you know, whales singing to each other in the ocean? Valid. You know, things like this. It's a thing. It's a part of life, and I would love to imagine that it's part of the universe. I mean, that's why I think it was very important that I'm gonna get a little science nerd on you here. Carl Sagan, who very world-renowned scientist, theological scientist, I believe. You know, in the 70s, his team sent 2 Voyager satellites out into space to take the first known pictures of, you know, like Jupiter, like close up. There's old black and white pictures that were in our textbook growing up. And on one of the Voyagers, and this was Carl Sagan's project, his wife put it together, was a golden record. And on that golden record, excuse me, was not only like a map to where we are, you know, in relevance to the closest pulsar, so aliens can find us, you know, oddly enough, but it's also a collection of music from all the countries around the world. And like also like instructions how whoever finds this can set it up and use it. It's a beautiful thing, and so now out in space, floating billions and billions of light years away, is this golden record that could be found and then played, and it will have music from all around the world from many different centuries. Yeah, and the one that represents America is Johnny B. Good. Yeah. Yep. Nice. So I did not know that. Yeah, so yeah, music's very important to everything. I mean, that's why I know it's universal. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, who knows? There might be planets out there where people just sing to each other. I don't fucking know.
Maybe.
I'm just making shit up.
So, what is your all-time favorite place to perform? Or do you like not have a favorite? Because I know it's really easy to appreciate different places for different reasons,
I don't know
different
if I
vibes.
have a favorite. I mean, I really enjoy Hocking Hills Winery. Mm-hmm. But I don't enjoy it any less or more than I enjoy, playing like Papa Boo's.
Right. I feel like they can all be appreciated for different aspects of what they...
Yeah, and like if you play to the same space all the time, that would lose its fun. The fun is playing at different places, having different people, different atmospheres. My set at Hocking Hills Winery, what Ron J and I do when we're there, is something completely different than when we play Winterfest at Lucky's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we play Winterfest every year at Lucky's, and it's a whole different vibe, and it gets crazy.
I've only been in Lucky's one time, and I do not remember it. I remember walking in the door. That's it. That's it.
If I had a nickel every time I heard that.
I think I played pool in like that back room, and that was it.
Yeah, that's my go-to place around here. That's where Ron J and I meet up after a gig.
Really?
Yep, every time.
Nice. I think I kind of already asked you this, but no, I asked you that already. What is like that one song that people request and like you're just like internally eye rolling?
Wagon Wheel.
Yeah.
That'd be it.
You get requests for that a lot.
A lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and since I do know how to play it,
do you ever feel like obligated? Like, dang it.
I tell them it's a $20 song.
Nice.
If you want me to play it, $20 in tip bucket, I'll play a song for you.
Yeah.
Because I do not like it.
That's funny. So, do you get nervous still performing, like, as long as you've been doing it?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah. And it's not just me. Again, Rick Barr, that I had in the podcast studio 2 days ago, we had this exact conversation. And it's whenever I'm done setting up my stuff, whatever time that is between then and I start, my palms are sweaty. I'm nervous. I'm
knees weak, arms are heavy.
What's that?
Knees weak, arms are heavy.
Knees weak.
You said your palms are sweaty.
Yeah.
It's Eminem. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I get it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can't help it.
I love Eminem. Yeah. I didn't.
I do not.
I think he's great. But it's every show, every single one. It will never stop, and I hope it never stops.
Even if it's someplace you've been to like a million times before, you're just like, oh, it's show night.
Yeah. I hope it never stops because to me it keeps me humble.
Yeah.
It puts me into check. It puts any ego in check.
Yep.
Because in this business, it's really easy to have an ego. It's really easy to like have all these people applaud you, and you're like, oh man, I'm so fucking awesome. Well, that 20 minutes before I'm playing, I'm like, oh my god, I fucking suck. What am I doing here?
It's like imposter syndrome a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you'll never quite see yourself the way that other people do.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I know that you've done like a couple like in studio recordings. So, is it easier for you to perform in front of a live crowd or doing a recording in front of nobody?
Are you talking about like garage bands live?
Yeah. So is that almost like, okay, so even though you probably don't love the spotlight, you're probably, because I know you, do you still feel kind of in your element on stage or?
Yep. I feel exactly the same.
See, I almost feel like it would be harder to perform to no one.
Well, I'm not performing.
No,
there's a whole crew of people
but you don't have to look anybody in the eyes.
And that's actually even better. Thank you. Because the audience scares the shit out of me. So,
right.
But there's a tablet in front of me. I can see everybody's comments and all these things. That's how I knew you were watching.
Right.
But it's the same for me. It really is.
Really?
Like I don't think it's any easier or harder. It's a learning curve because you have to understand that they'll applaud in the studio, where they're doing all their sound, running their sound and videos and cameras and everything. You'll hear them back there,
Yeah.
But you have to train yourself, like, okay, you're not going to get that instant justification.
Right.
But besides that slight learning curve, it's about the same for me. And I think, doing the live streams that I do and stuff like that has helped callous me to that. Like
Yeah.
I can look at it.
I would almost feel like it was the
that.
eye contact. Like, do you look directly at people when you're performing, or do you look just over them?
Just over them.
Yeah.
And a lot of
I feel
times,
like the eye contact would, like, just me personally, I don't know. I would feel awkward, and like I would be like,
no,
ooh.
I don't like making eye contact with people unless I'm like right now in an intimate setting in a studio. Yes, I can make eye contact with you, but
when you're the vulnerable one, it's like it almost feels foreign.
Well, and I don't want to engage in people like that, and some people do, and that's their thing. But for me, like, I'm more of a people watcher, and I'm keeping tabs on what's going on at all tables, who's paying attention and who's not, she's wearing, a wedding dress. This guy over here is, he's about to pop the question, or whatever the situation may be. But I'm always just kind of aware, and I'll even change songs based on what I see, and it goes back to perceiving what the audience.
Yeah, reading your crowd.
Yeah, reading your crowd and changing your set a little bit. But if there's like very vocal people, like if they're out there like, yeah, woohoo, yeah, you're great, spitting all these compliments at you, then I will like lean over and focus towards them a little bit, and be like, no, you're the great ones, copy and paste comments that, get me through to the next song.
Right.
Because talking to people is scary on stage. Like, I fucking hate it. But, but I try to, I've learned to, it sounds weird to say, but I learned to play that role, because I do suck at being a showman in my head. Like, I'm not confident in it, and there's a lot of times, or especially early in my real music career, where I just wouldn't banter with the audience, and then I had to learn how to do that by coming up with these copy and paste responses. And sometimes they come out organically, like it's not a copy and paste response, and that really depends on the vibe I'm picking from the person,
right?
But yeah, a lot of the times it's a copy and paste response because I don't know what to say, but I've trained myself into saying, okay, input, comment here,
right.
And that's just me. That's just how my mind works. I'm so
Which is like
all over the place in my head.
Almost funny, because I think when a lot of people look at musicians, like who aren't musicians, like, so when you look at a musician, you're like, oh, that person's a musician. Like, they've got to be like infinitely confident and like they're the man. You know what I mean? But when the reality of it is that
musicians are very not confident.
Yeah,
They're
and you're the, so people think that like, oh, he's on stage, like he's awesome, but really, like, you kind of feel this different vulnerability because you're just laying it all out there.
Right, and it's something that I felt alone with for a long time, but over many years of performing, I think 2007 is really when I started coming out into the music world. I've learned that that's actually like across the board with most musicians. They are very vulnerable. And then like you start paying attention to the musicians, the famous ones that you like, like the Doors. You learn that Jim Morrison turned his back to the audience when he would first start performing. Look at Nirvana. They'll smash guitars and do all this stuff. That's almost putting up a wall. Like it's you learn that being vulnerable is actually a positive, in a sense, a positive trait.
Yes.
To being a good performer, because like you're emotionally invested in it.
Yeah.
And
well, it goes back to humility, like you said. Like, you can't walk out there and just feel like you're the greatest that ever existed, because something's bound to happen. But if you practice humility and I'm just a guy on the stage doing what I love, instead of getting in your head about it, I feel like your whole performance would come off different.
Yeah, and that vulnerability, like, really manifests itself, like, especially like during breaks, when I'm, stepping off stage. Like when you were at Hocking Hills Winery, I had you and like a table of work buddies at this other table. I wouldn't talk to you guys. A good musician, a good performer rather, would go out and banter with the audience. An extroverted person would do that. I'm not extroverted, and I'm like seriously not extroverted. So like I just like cling on to people I know. I'm like, hey, I know you.
Your face.
I'm gonna sit here. Yeah.
Yep.
But Yeah, and that's I always say that's what Ranjay's for. Ranjay will go out and talk to the people and do the schmoozing. I can't do it. Like because I know I'll come across awkward. I know like I'll say something weird and just be like, "Oh, you don't get me yet." Well, I'm gonna go back where things make sense.
No, I get it completely.
It's funny because like even though like for years I would dread going on the stage, even I just wanted to perform. Now that stage has become my safe place. It's become a place I'm comfortable with. Once I get up there, I'm no longer Stephen Cade. I'm Stevie Cade, and now I can put on this show.
So if you ever feel like if it's been like a while between performances, are you like, damn, I need to get on stage? Like,
yeah, I mean,
is it almost like therapeutic for you at this point? Whereas it used to be like almost like a nerve-wracking situation, and you still have the normal nerves, but is it almost like
I think I know where you're going with this. When I did music full time, I was playing a lot of shows. A lot of shows. I think the last year that I performed, I was right about 300 shows that year, which is a lot for anybody.
Yeah.
Doing multiple shows a day and all this stuff, and it became this burnt out, copy and paste, thing, and then about early last summer when COVID hit, and they're like, hey, all the bars are shutting down, you're out of a job.
Right.
I was relieved. I wasn't as scared as I should have been. I was like, oh, thank God,
I can take a break.
And I didn't realize that's where I was in my headspace. Like I knew, like I was thinking about getting a regular job and like pushing music back to just a minimal days, which is kind of what I do now. But when COVID hit, I was like, oh, thank goodness. And then I got so used to it, and I was trying to nurture a new relationship, so like I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to put music, over here.
Right.
I'll play every now and again, and I'll stick to my obligations that I've already agreed to. And I'll tell you what, it was kind of strange. There were moments where I would play at a show, like during this moment, like when I was not really booking or anything, where I would just get off and I'm like, God, I am done. I'm just not having fun with it.
Yeah.
But again, I'm a very emotional person. I think that was a lot of other things going on in my life, just kind of
for sure
coming out and manifesting itself in that manner, because when I rectified the other things going on in my life, now I love performing again, but I love performing with a balance. My balance is doing this, 9 to 5, and then scheduling specific times for music. That sort of balance has really helped me enjoy the show as much as I did when I first started performing, full time. So, I've even flirted with the idea of maybe going back full time, but I don't want to do that to myself.
Right, because like as much as you're an entertainer to entertain other people, but you have to feel what you're doing to like really be able to connect. And so it's not wash, rinse, repeat. Like you're like, damn, I love this. And then I feel like when you do it all the time, it could really quickly start to feel heavy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it could. And, God bless these people that do it all the time for their whole lives. Like, I don't know how they do it.
Right.
And obviously, like, when you think of, like, big bands, like just Guns N' Roses or something like this,
Axl Rose is my real dad. I've told people that since I was like 15.
Oh my God, I can't not see it now.
Right. I went as Axl Rose for Halloween like 3 years ago, and I had this big ass bandana and like a baseball t-shirt with black sleeves and then ripped jeans, and everybody was like, oh my God. And I was like, what can I say?
That's insane. I would love to see pictures of that.
Yeah, I will show you.
But you think about, Guns N' Roses, and, from my standpoint, like how much of a shit show they became, be it, Axl's, egotistical ways or what have you. But you see, like, how doing that all the time can really just kind of eat you up, in whatever way that it does for that band or for this band or for you.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just, I always need stimulus of some kind.
Yeah.
That's why I do all these other projects. That's why I have Film Trigger. That's why I have this podcast. Yeah. Like I had to learn to compartmentalize and like put my life into sections and dedicate myself to each section on its own.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my mental health. You know?
Yeah, like you almost have to be able to like value what you do, and it's not like, oh, I have to go perform tonight, but like, oh, I get to go perform tonight.
Right.
Because I feel like once you get from that like I get to I have to, then it doesn't even feel the same anymore.
Correct. And you know, I think any business owner will relate to that for whatever business they're running.
Right.
You know, there's going to be that honeymoon stage, and then there's going to be that I'm exhausted stage.
And then you have to get back to I get to. Because there's like being
Yeah.
grateful for the talent that you've been given, because I know like if I were to get on stage right now and start singing, everybody's leaving. Like, but it's just, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're a photographer. You know,
Yeah.
And with your business, you know, like I see your photos. I think your photos are wonderful, very creative, a lot of integrity and passion behind it. You know, but there might be a time where you might feel worn out and exhausted, like
No creative juices.
right. And
Yeah.
for me, when that happens, I need to shake things up a bit.
Yep.
And that's something's got to change, because if I keep going like this, I'm gonna end up hating what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big reason for me taking the time off I did last year.
Yep.
Because I was on my way to hating what I do, and I don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So-
It's almost like COVID was a blessing in disguise. And I don't mean
For-
the
for-
virus, obviously, but I mean the way that it played out in people's lives. Because
In some people's, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because it was almost like a pause, reevaluate, and that was how I ended up going full time too, but like it was a completely like different scenario, but it almost makes you like, all right, everything is changing around me. Like what do I truly value in my life? And then
what can I take control over in this world that I don't have any control?
literally no control. Yeah. Yep. So is there like, and this is kind of like morbid, I guess, but it's not, because
That's my kind of question. I like
but
this.
it almost like tells a story. And so I feel like we've already touched on this a little bit, but just in case the answer is different, like, is there like a musician death that like hurt you the worst? Because I know like there's a certain demographic of people, you know what I mean? Like even my mom, dude, like she can't talk about Prince dying, or she's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Is there one of those ones that you were just like, holy shit, like this dream does not last forever and I have to make the best of it while I can? Like, is there one that hurt you or like motivated you? No. Yeah.
No. But that's because of my mindset of life. Like I've dealt with death early in my life.
And some pretty big losses too, I feel like.
Yeah, and we all have our own stories, but like for me, death has become a part of life.
Yeah.
Well, it is part of life, but like it can really come across as, again, I keep using this word a lot, but callous, because when somebody dies, I don't think I look at it the same as people I think expect me to. You know, when
I feel that.
when somebody passes, I'm like, oh man, that sucks for their family members. You know, I'm sorry that they're going through that, but you know, it's part of life. You know,
Yeah.
It was the same when my grandmother passed, which I mourned my grandmother.
Right.
You know, when my brother passed away, you know, I mourned him, but like, I think my brother's death is kind of probably what made me start looking at death a little differently. Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
It's inescapable, really.
It's inescapable, and yeah, it sucks when people die, but when they die, you're like, you know, well, I hope you're in a better place, you know,
Yeah.
because I mean, if you want to go down that, like, you know, religiously speaking and stuff like that, I don't really hold on to any certain thing, you know. I have my
because
I have
the
my
only
own
thing we
opinion.
truly know is that you're born and then you die. Like,
Yeah.
that's it.
I don't know anything
Outside
else.
of that, we know nothing. People will have their own beliefs, whatever. That's fine. But and I kind of like resonate with that a little bit. I understand what you're saying, because just going through my own set of situations, like I've buried more friends than I should have at 32 already, and it was like at the beginning, it was like, oh, that's devastating, and now I'm just kind of like, horrible. So sorry.
Yeah.
I'll miss you.
Right.
And it does almost sound
you'll-
callous, but it's not.
But
like
you're mourning in your own way, you know, and you should be just. I mean, I'm not going around going, fuck that guy. You know,
Exactly.
he deserved to die. You know, like I'm not
Exactly.
doing any of that. As I said, I always feel bad for family members and and things like that. But when somebody passes, I just don't see it always as a negative thing. I don't. I don't see it as a, oh, it wasn't their time. No, they died. You got to just accept it and move on.
Right.
Go through your mourning, but don't hold on to it and like not be able to let it go.
Yeah, don't let it like weigh you down to the point that you can't function.
And I've met people that have not been able to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
A neighbor, when my brother passed away, my neighbor who lived next to us, she had lost a son, years before, and my mother. This was like just a few years after my brother had passed. Like, she would listen to my neighbor talk about her son and like start crying and bawling, and my mom would look at it and she goes, I miss Jason every day. I wish he was still here, but I hope in 25 years I'm not talking about him the way that she's talking about her son. Like,
yep.
She's remembering his death, not his life.
Not his life. Yes.
And I never really thought about it, but maybe that has something to do with why I think the way I do. I don't know, but yeah, when it comes to any person's death that impacted me, I'd have to say if there is an answer, it'd be Kurt Cobain, because I kind of like immortalized him in my head when I first started.
Yeah.
I remember when he passed, and I actually wasn't into Nirvana yet, but like, this is gonna sound crazy. I don't think I've ever told anybody about this, but my brother and mom will remember this vividly. And I had to go pee, so I went to the restroom. And I was scared to use the restroom because I thought the soul of Kurt Cobain was gonna try to like do something to me, like, or like haunt me,
That's funny.
And I fell asleep on the couch, and my brother was like, "I'm Kurt Cobain, I'm coming to steal your soul," And I was like, God, 94, I was 11,
And you probably like jumped up.
No, I was like, "Fuck you, man," But yeah, it was. So in that realm, I think that's probably the only thing that really impacted me,
Right.
Then when I got into Nirvana, as I said, I got really into Nirvana and like maybe a little too obsessive, and that was a little weird, but we all have those moments.
I had like a belt. Do you remember when you could buy belts with like pins on them? Like pins that you would put on your shirt.
Oh yeah,
but,
yeah.
I had
like
one
punk
that was
rocker
like
style, yeah.
that was like Kurt Cobain's face and like 58 different styles all the way around it. I actually
Nice.
just threw it away not too long ago when I was like cleaning out my mom's garage. I was like, God, no fucking wonder. You know what I mean? Like, for real. What? So I know you said you played like trombone for a little bit, but
I don't know if I did. I know I wanted.
You touched the trombone. So what other instruments can you play?
None. I think.
You don't play anything but guitar.
No, yeah. I mean, I can thumb around on a bass guitar. Piano is one I've always wanted to learn.
Yes.
And I used to have a keyboard in the studio
That's
here.
you can hear a song with no words and just want to cry. Like, it's one of those things.
And I actually grew accustomed to it because in 2013-ish area, I didn't have a car, and I worked at. I was cooking for a place downtown Columbus, and I rode the bus system. Mm-hmm. So, like, when my bus went and I had to wait for the bus, which the bus stop was right outside my work. Well, this place had a grand piano in every fucking room.
Really?
And I would just sit there and just tap on it. I eventually wrote a song. I was like using both hands, just like the guitar in my early years.
Yeah.
I was just going with the sounds and like just figuring it out by ear, and I ended up writing this, like, I think it was like an 8-minute long song that like was pretty intricate for somebody who had no idea what the fuck they were doing. And it's still the only song I ever knew, or I know on piano, is that one that I wrote. And I even had a keyboard, a really nice keyboard in the studio here for 2 years, maybe 3 years. And I even had a guy that does dueling piano for a living. Like, he travels the whole country doing this. He came over here, would try to teach me stuff, but I just could not absorb it.
Right.
That's not how I learn. I don't learn by you sitting down and like, well, here's this note, here's it, and I don't know. I just never got attached to it. But if I were to choose an instrument, it would be piano.
Nice. So, I know, like, I don't know, and I feel like this is with every industry. But are there like friendships or like solidarities, you know what I mean, that you've made with other musicians, or even just like like fans, or just through music that you wouldn't have made if you didn't make music?
I think most of them.
Yeah.
Most of my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, Ron J, my saxophone player, met through music. Me and this man have absolutely no business being friends. Nothing in our lives would have interacted with each other.
Nothing in common, really. Just
that's the thing. We have lots of things in common,
but you never would have met.
But our lives, we live two complete. Nothing in our lives would have woven together, except for music. Then when we did music, and now you discover all these different things. It's almost like being stuck in a room with somebody you don't know, and then you start discussing.
Yeah.
What's your common space? Your common space is that room. Our common space was music, and then we learned more about each other. And I think that's, a lot of my friends are people that I've known through music and have just grown with them.
Yeah, it's almost like one of the ways that the job pays, not monetarily. You know what I mean? Like, ways that you can grow. Like, you have this, like, set of people. Like, because you could come to me about a music problem, and I'm be like, I got a beer. You want a beer? But
and look, now we've opened a language. I like beer.
Right.
Hey,
exactly.
We got things in common.
Exactly. What do you think is like a big misconception about musicians? And like, I think we kind of touched on this briefly, but I'm curious to see if you have like a different
biggest misconception. I would have to hone in on the confidence of it, that they're up there putting on their best show because they've got their shit together in their head.
And I'll take it even like a step further. Yeah. Like there's always, I feel like there's like this stigma that like male musicians are like womanizers or like, but I mean that's
a good one.
But it's not the truth really. But
it might be for some. I've known musicians that whore themselves out.
I would say it's not your truth. I think I know you well enough.
No, it's not. Well, it's actually number one. It's everyone knows I suck at talking to women. Hey, what kind of cereal you like? Yeah.
Start with that. It always goes somewhere.
Hey, what kind of cereal you like?
Right.
Yeah, well, cool. All right. And I'll just walk away awkwardly.
Right.
No, but there's rules I've set in place because I've seen other musicians that do kind of like whore themselves out, like they use that status like, and I'm not going to name names, but I've known people that
you're like, I don't want to be that really.
Well, yeah, I don't.
Doesn't align with your values.
Right. And like I've made rules for myself that I won't take anybody like talk that way to somebody at a show. Mm-hmm. If somebody's interested, hey, well then here's my number, call me some other time.
Right.
Or something like this. I'm very intrigued when somebody knows I'm a musician and they want to talk to me, possibly, like, hey, I think you're kind of cute or whatever, and they don't bring up music. They don't bring up my performance. They don't bring up any of that stuff. That to me, that's
they want to know who Stevie is, not
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the things that I value. I value music for what it is, but when it comes, obviously there's a stigma that men are whores and it's a stigma for a reason. Like people do it,
right.
It's a rock star mentality, right. But I think rock star mentality is just something that we've made up in our heads,
Yes.
Yeah. With a few.
An ego thing.
Yeah.
It's always like people either think you're loaded because you're a musician or you're a whore. So it's kind of like weird. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and there's validity to both of those statements, but it's not.
But it's not absolute.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's
Yeah.
not.
It's not all inclusive. So is Stevie Cade, because, okay, so I hear so many people that have like a persona on stage that's not reflective, or I wouldn't say not reflective, but maybe amplified. So is Stevie Cade, musician, different than Stevie Cade, the neighbor?
I don't know who Stevie Cade the neighbor is.
I mean, you check your mail. Like you go to work, you come home from work. Like you're just. You
that's
know what
Steven.
I mean? Right. Exactly. So you're not even Stevie.
That's Steven Cade.
Yeah. No.
And that's something that I've.
But I call you Stevie though.
Yeah, I know. When I first started doing music, people would like coming to, oh, you sound so good. You know, I said, thank you. I said, my name is Stevie. My friends call me Steven. You know, and like, I figured out years that was kind of rude of me to say.
I feel like I could never call you Steven for reasons. There's just reasons, but
well, yeah, but
I can hear it replaying, and I'm like, yeah, no.
At one point in time, I had to come to terms that this name that was given to me by another musician years ago. He's like, I even fought the dude, not physically, but I was like, dude, don't stop calling me Stevie. And he said, sure, I'll stop calling you Stevie.
He never did.
Well, he got on stage right after I asked him to not do that after I performed. And he goes, well, that was Stevie Cade, and I don't give a fuck who you are. That's a rock star name. And it's been Stevie Cade ever since. And that was like 2008.
That's
so
funny.
like, but the persona is Stevie in my head. That's the character I play when I'm on stage. You know, and it's also who I am. It's part of me. But
Right.
like,
Different attributes.
again, when I'm in an intimate setting with somebody, you know, somebody, I mean, Ranjay. Me and Ranjay have deep conversations. He still calls me Stevie, and I don't bat an eye about it. But I'll tell you this much: I can never be with a girl who called me Stevie. No way. No, it happened one time.
Were you like, what the fuck?
Dude, listen, I'm going to air it out here. She called me Stevie in bed, and it was like an instant boner killer. I'm like, oh, God, no. I was like, don't do that. Yeah, it was.
That's funny.
It was a situation that, yeah, so I think I answered your question.
I mean, yeah, you definitely answered my question.
I can't believe I just said that on
I
the
feel like I could
podcast,
never
but yeah.
call you Stevie, though. Or never call you Steven.
I get it.
I feel like that's like a full name.
Or
like,
Steve.
I'm mothering.
Or Steve.
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, it don't matter. Like, you can call me Stevie all day. I don't think twice about it, but I know, like,
You personally know the difference between Stevie and Steven.
right, and so will the person that I spend the rest of my life with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they'll understand that. I know they will. They're gonna have to, because I can't be with somebody who's gonna call me Stevie. Stevie, why aren't the dishes done? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. When you say it like that, it's kind of weird.
It sounds like my grandma. Sounds like my
yeah.
grandma saying it. Stevie.
Yeah, but I also feel like, Steven,
you
why
want
aren't the
some cookies,
dishes done?
Stevie?
Like, that's also, like...
There's a demanding connotation.
You would need, like,
to
a
that,
nickname.
That Steve. Call me Steve.
Steve's normal, I feel
Yeah,
like.
Steve.
It's not, like, a full name, but it's not, like, a pet name. It's just, like, Steve.
But to be honest, I do prefer Steven. Like, straight up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think it sounds fancy.
Fancy. With a PH.
Yes. Stephen.
Okay, so to kind of, like, wrap this up, and, I mean, not to really, like, that's just my last question. What advice would you give to somebody who is just getting into the music scene? Like, what are your biggest takeaways? Like, do as I say, not as I do, or like, you know what I mean? Like, what would you tell somebody who's like, hey, I really want to play music, but I don't know where to start. I fucking suck my brains in this.
Go support other musicians.
Yeah,
Huge
community over competition. Huge.
Show up to the open mics, network. If you're looking to gig, ask politely another musician who has seen you perform. Say, hey, do you care if I play a break at your next show?
Yeah.
And if they think you suck, they'll give you a reason why you can't, you know, or just say, oh, I'll let you know. But, you know, and if they think positively of you, they'll say, yeah, come on out, you know, come out, play the break. And I think playing the breaks is one of the best ways to get out there. You're not getting paid, you know, you're just going out there. You're, number one, you're showing support for the musician that you showed up for. Number two, you play your break. So now the person, the manager, the booker, whoever, they've heard you now. They can make a decision right then if they want more of you. And I've booked a lot of gigs doing that. And I know a lot of other musicians that book gigs like that. But yeah, definitely make yourself known and put yourself out there and stay away from the gossip. Stay away from the buzz, you know, the constant banter. Because there is a lot of that. And I've been guilty as charged in my early years. It is.
Get caught up in that whirlwind.
Yeah,
of like,
absolutely. But yeah, just you got to network with people. If you were trying to make it as a musician or put yourself out there, you have to network, show up to the things, and do the stuff, and be supportive.
Yeah. I think that's huge too. And I really, so I know I said that was my last question, but I really like how you like touched on it. Like, I don't know if you guys have like a name for it in your community. Like, But there's like almost this like weird like stigma like that if you're a new photographer you just have to figure it out on your own. I don't believe that way. So we have like this community over competition. Like I will help you learn. I will tell you what I know because my clients are not your clients. We do not have to, like there's no fighting over money. There's room at the table for everyone to eat.
Right. It's not a competition.
Do you kind of get that way in music? Like do you notice that people are like, I don't want you taking my gigs, but really it's like
I've seen people.
Can we all blossom together because you know what I mean? Like we can all rise on this boat.
Yeah, I've known plenty of people that are like that. They no, you're not going to play my break. You know, you're not going to do that. You know, earn your own keep
or get your own gig. Don't come here. This is my spot.
Right, like, and that's not because they're a nasty person. That's because that's what they did. They hustled hard and they did it on their own, which is that's fine for them, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Absolutely.
Like my entire integrity behind what I do and everything I've done when it comes to music and the open mics that I do, and now has evolved into like these podcasts and bringing people up and like you know promoting them and being supportive, all comes back to when I first started. I didn't know open mics existed. Mm-hmm. I was never out. I was never out and about, you know, and when I finally put my foot out there, I discovered open mics did exist. As a matter of fact, the very first open mic I ever played was one that I ran. You know, and like I was like, oh my God, like this is how you do it. This is how you bring people in. And like I was like almost like running through the streets with a bell, like, hey, I know how to get you on stage, you know, let's do this. And I think that's my entire integrity started like that. You know, I was like, I didn't know this existed. If I knew this existed, I would have been out years before doing it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I was ignorant. You know, but just like you said, there's plenty of room at the table.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room. Yep. You know, there's no competition. I've never looked at somebody like, oh, fuck that guy. He got that gig. Fuck him.
I think that's so important, like, for the longevity of, like, people, like, your career, too. And maybe it's because I'm similar, but, like, what is that quote? Like, a rising tide raises all ships or something like that. So, it's just, like, super important. Like, man, we all started somewhere. And, like, I was kind of the same way. Like, when I first started out, I was, like, afraid to reach out to anybody because my own confidence level wouldn't allow me to do that. But now that I'm like, okay, like I enjoy helping other people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because like we all have something different to bring to the table. So I guess I just wondered seeing how, if that is also a thing in your industry or just mine.
I think it's a thing in every industry.
Right.
I mean, we get so caught up in this.
I got to make all the money right now and it's all got to be mine.
Yeah. I was about to say this, and it sounds like I'm dissing American ways, and I am in certain aspects of it, but this American concept of, you know, like business, you know, the best man gets a job, he gets a, you know, you have to drive past it, and you have to be callous, and you know,
it's almost like entrepreneurial Darwinism.
Nice guys
sort
finish
of.
last, you know, that sort of mentality. It's outdated.
Yeah,
it's done.
It is.
It needs to be done.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of where we're at with our nation a little bit, in my opinion. I'm not getting political. Trust me, I'm not wise
There's not
enough.
Enough time in the world.
I'm not even wise enough. I don't even follow politics. I don't give a fuck.
Turn it off.
Yeah. But I feel like just as an outsider looking in, that's kind of where our nation's at right now. Like we have these, you know, these corporations. You know, like we do it this way. You gotta work hard and do this, which is good. You do need to work hard, but you can also help. You can help. You know, well, thank you, but. You know, like, put your hand out. Help somebody. Yeah, work hard, but put your hand out and be like, hey, listen, I'm not going to throw you a bone here, but I'm gonna give you a little advice, you know?
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah,
you know?
Because I feel like it brings a little bit more stability to the industry as a whole instead of the individual. So, Yeah,
it's... I think it's very important. I would love to see our, not only country, but, you know, world, you know, evolve in this manner. I'm sure... I feel like Sweden probably does this. I feel like Sweden's got their shit together. Everything I hear about them is like they're all happy-go-lucky over there. I don't fucking know, but it just seems like I feel like people just support each other, be happy.
Right.
And don't call me a hippie for thinking that way. What? What's wrong with you?
I'm gonna call you Stevie for thinking that way.
It's fair. I deserve that.
I mean, I don't really have any more questions.
Well, no. Want to smoke some pot?
I don't smoke pot.
Oh, no, you don't?
Because what would happen?
I'm just joking.
Is I would see headlights coming down the road. I would think they were cops. I'm running out your back door. 14 again.
No, honestly, I've never, I smoke pot, but right before bed.
I thought you were gonna say you've never smoked pot, and I was like,
no.
Wow, Steven.
If I smoke pot, it's right before bed. I've often flirted with the idea of and I was joking when I asked you if you wanted to smoke, by the way. But I've flirted with the idea of getting stoned on the podcast, which is
okay, but it would be a 7-hour long podcast.
Well, I don't know, because here's the thing: when I get high, I'm not talkative.
Really?
Not one little bit. I'm an analyzer, and I will sit and think about.
Yeah, but then don't you ramble about what you analyze?
I don't know. I'm never with anybody when I smoke pot.
Oh, I was thinking you were talking to yourself, of course. Do you have racing thoughts? Holy fuck, I just figured it out. And then, dude, this too.
Sometimes. Yeah. It's definitely a part of it. But my favorite thing to do is to smoke pot and watch a movie. If I smoke pot.
I think if you watch movies sober, they're completely different than when you watch them stoned.
No, not completely. I think
subliminal messaging.
I think I think it enhances the experience. It's you watch a movie, you watch it, sober or whatever, and then if I smoke a pot and watch the same movie, all these little.
Did you just say smoke a pot?
Smoke a pot. You smoke a pot. And God, I sound like an old man.
You sound like someone's grandma. You were smoking the pot again.
Well, yeah, you inject some marijuana, and
don't inject drugs.
Drugs bad. But if I smoke pot and watch a movie, then all these little subtle nuances that I noticed while watching it, now I'm studying it, and and it becomes a mythology in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it. I just dive deeper in my head.
Right.
With movies, but when it comes to a one-on-one conversation, I'm not so sure I could follow it. You could be sitting there talking about some deep shit, and I'm just over here
It would be, that's how
I don't know.
I'm always the one, I mean, it's been a long time since I smoked, but I was always the one that my friends were looking at me what the fuck are you talking about? Because I'm I literally just figured out why we are alive.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I always tell people, I'm dude, you could cut a fart and I just figured out life because of it.
Yeah.
That's just where my mind goes. But if you're talking, I'm so intently listening, and then when it's my turn to talk, I'm what was I just thinking?
Right.
That's where my my mind goes. I don't know. I've flirted with the idea. I've had a couple offers Steve, let's just smoke some pot and do a podcast. I might do it. Why? Because this podcast is transparency for me.
Right.
It is what it is. But
I feel and this is kind of relevant, kind of not, but it's just how my brain works. I've only tripped one time. Okay.
On the stairs or?
No, on mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
And I ate them. And this was years ago. Don't judge me. I'm a responsible adult or whatever I'm supposed to be. But this was years ago, and I ate these mushrooms, and I was nothing's happening. I don't know what's going on. And my next memory of it, and it was the only time I've ever tripped in my life. I was laying in bed crying because, and I was 19 maybe. And I was I'm a human factory. I'm not kidding. Listen, I was crying, and I was I have all of the parts inside of me to make another human being. There's just arms and legs coming out of nowhere and intestines and everything. And I was crying, and it was fucking glorious. And I was amazed. It was that moment for me that I was okay, slow the fuck down. Because, but I was in tears. It was the most beautiful moment of my life because overanalyzing the fuck out of shit. And I was we should probably go for a walk. And
natural things are, I'm fully down for trying natural things. Mushrooms. I'll do mushrooms. I won't do them out somewhere with anybody.
Don't taste good.
But I'll do them home. With somebody. As long as I'm in my safe place.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I've done them. I've done them a handful of times. Even when I lived here, I've done them. But it's to me, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. I feel it's one of those things that opens a portal that's typically locked, and you're really enhancing your human power at that point. That's a completely different story, because I'm one of those people that I am extra. I'm a Leo. I tend to take things a little bit
A Leo, that makes
far.
sense.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm one of those people that would like not like bad trip and like freak out, I don't think. But I think I would be one of those people that's like, oh, I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
I got to do this one more time to see, you know what I mean? I don't know. Like,
yeah, I don't think I would bad trip. I've had bad experiences,
Yeah.
you know, like especially with like harder stuff. Like I did ecstasy once or twice before, and like it wasn't me freaking out. It was just my body going, "Oh my god, what is this in your fucking body?" You know, stop.
It doesn't stop, and you can't make it stop.
Yeah. But like, you know, now I have that rule. I'm experimental, but only with organic things. You know, like mushrooms. But I feel like I think I'm mind strong enough to have control over when I think I'm freaking out. I think I'd be aware enough to know that I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
And pull myself back from it.
Yes.
I've had moments like that.
Yeah.
And like that's but at the same time, I would be very careful who I do them with. I'm not going to bring anybody here. Oh, you want some mushrooms? Yeah, fuck yeah, man. No, I'm not that way. Like it would have to be a trusted space with a trusted person.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I mean, you said, you know, like, you know, this was a long time ago. Please don't judge me. You know, this is like a mindset that, like, I would say something like that, you know, in the past, but now like I'm being more confident. Like, judge me if you want, you know.
Yeah, I feel it too. It's
I'm
like a small town business owner thing. People be like, "Oh my, she was talking about mushrooms on a podcast," because in all reality, like, probably don't want you as a client anyways if you're that kind of person.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh, this fear of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a fear factor when it comes to, you know,
rejection,
like, representation,
yeah,
all these things. But you know what? If you don't want to hire me for music because you heard me say I wouldn't mind doing mushrooms,
then I'm probably not your kind of musician anyway.
Then don't hire me.
Right. Not all money's good money.
Yeah. Then don't hire me. And that's a part of my journey of mental health. That's where I'm at. You know, like, for example, when I first started doing these podcasts, I would stutter. And I still stutter. I still ramble and all over the place, but I would edit that out. I told people I edit my stupid out, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
But now I'm more confident. Like, yeah, sometimes I feel like I sound like an idiot. I don't care. Subscribe because I sound like an idiot.
And you're authentic.
Yeah, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, it's part of my mental health journey.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, saying the things that I've said tonight, even that, like, that one, I forget what it was earlier, but I said, oh my God, I can't believe I said that on here.
Yeah.
You know, but that's my way of being like, that's just who I am.
Kurt Cobain haunting you on the couch.
Oh, in the toilet, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just part of who I am. It's part of my journey, and like my journey of mental health is being okay with myself and the choices I make. And I'm gonna make wrong choices again, and I'm gonna own up to them and just move on with my life.
And you're still gonna be worthy.
Yeah.
Regardless of any of those things.
Right.
That's the biggest thing to remember.
I'm very confident in everything that I said tonight. That if you don't book me, then I probably didn't want to play your show.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I think it takes a minute. Like, I finally kind of, I mean, and obviously not still completely because I was just like, don't judge me. But like,
I still do that. Yeah.
But you have to come to a point where it's like, this is who I am. This is what I can provide you. If it's not worth having me exactly as I am, then you probably need to find somebody else.
Well, I think a good parallel would be when you talk about your addiction. Mm-hmm. And how open and free you are about talking about it, and how proud you are of where you are now. And you leave yourself open for people going, oh my God, did you hear what she used to do? And like, and do the whispers and the conversations and the judging and all that stuff. You open yourself up to that, but your confidence level, like, hey, that was me.
Yeah.
This is me now. Take it or leave it.
Yep. I actually have a client who is a retired state highway patrol officer who I'm 99% sure he just can't look it up anymore. Arrested me at 3:10 and 70. So it was so weird. Like, I was on this thumbtack thing, which like I will never do again because it's like scammy. But people like, they wanted a photographer. And so like I went to their house in Granville, you know what I mean? And I'm like, all right, I'm a recovering drug addict from Thornville. I'm driving to Granville, and like I meet these people and it's great. And they end up, like, long story short, they end up being like return clients and some of our best friends. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't know if you saw where we went to that gala in Columbus a couple weeks ago, but that's who we were with.
Okay.
And the first time I met him, I'm looking at him and I'm like, where have I seen you before? And then I start seeing, because the first session was in their house, I keep seeing like these state highway patrol things. And I'm like, it literally at their wedding, I think, because after I did their first session, I ended up shooting their wedding. And it hit me, and I was like, Casey, he fucking arrested me. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, but don't tell him. I don't want him to judge me.
Yeah.
And because I mean, I remembered his face, you know what I mean? So then, like, we get invited to a birthday thing at Topgolf and have a couple drinks in case he's like, Mindy thinks you arrested her. And I'm like, God dang it.
Did he?
He doesn't remember.
Okay. But
the thing is like, we had a long conversation about it. And, like, even we were at the winery for the Woodies and Wine show. And we were talking about it. And I was just like, you know, like, it's so weird because... whether you did or not, I don't care. If you did, you were part of the people that did me a favor because they needed it. But it's so funny, like, how life can turn around because then I would have ran from you.
Yeah.
And now I'm, like, voluntarily having a friendship. You've invited me to the most important moments
fairly
of your
voluntarily.
Life. Yeah.
Casey threw you under the bus.
Well, yeah, but it's just, like, it's...
Well, and also, like, your fear of, like, oh, my God, he's going to judge me. But imagine how many other people... he's seen turn their lives around. Yeah. I mean, being a police officer, there's got to be this side that, you know, you don't hear too often where they see this rags to riches, I don't know if that's the right term, story, you know.
Definitely not riches.
You know what I mean.
Right.
The glory story, you know, somebody who turned their life around. You know, how many times have they seen that? And how many times have they seen the potential for that, but it didn't happen? You know, I would imagine somebody in that position typically would love to see and talk to somebody like you who has turned their life completely around. Yeah. You know, so like, but you still have that initial fear.
Yeah, like it's like that
don't judge
stigma.
Me. This is a long time ago. Yeah.
Like
it's that stigma.
I still get weird. Like even when the other podcast was like released, I was like, I gotta untag myself because I was internally freaking out.
Well, you also did for what you did for a couple of reasons.
Multiple reasons, yeah. But I was just like, what if like I don't know why I have this like fear. Like, what if everybody knows who I really am? Yeah. Because that person that I was is not who I am now. But you know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe I have like a persona when I work. I don't know. Because I will tell you, like, I am super socially ass backward and awkward, and nobody would know it. If you don't know me really well, you would not know that. If I'm in a room full of people and even nobody's looking at me, and I think people are, I'm like, yeah. But when I'm working with people I've never met before, I'm like, hey, how you doing? I don't know.
I spent a lot of my life in fear. Yeah. Of a spectrum of reasons that are similar to what we just talked about. But the biggest fear was of people knowing who I really am on the inside. You know, and a lot of that was justified because when I was younger, I was kind of an asshole. Right. You know, and maybe asshole's not right, but I was very misguided in my way of thinking. And I spent a lot of time trying to prove to people who I wanted them. Like, I'm the person that this is how I want you to see me, and then I'm this. Yeah. I'm this person. I'm this person. But it's again associated with mental health that in the past few years, more of the 5 years than. Yeah, the past 5 years, most recently, is when I've really explored being open and true of who I am with other people and not caring. Even though I do care. I care what people think of me. Yeah. But I'm training myself not to.
To not care so deeply that it affects who you are.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put that.
This is so random, but, like, what movie is it where he's like... everyone wears a mask.
Oh, The Mask.
Is it?
Yeah, The Mask with Jim Carrey.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Jim.
For some reason, when you were talking about that, like
that was Ben Stein who said that line.
Yes.
Everyone wears a mask.
Yes, I don't know why, but like sometimes I do. I mean, I feel like that. Like I have my like mask, and then like I can peel it off at the end of the day. Right. I want to get to the point where the threshold between that mask and the actual face is minimal.
Right, and I think that's going back to this. Every time
Steven.
Yes, every time I talk about it, I feel like a madman when I try to describe it to people. But like that's what happened. Like for a long time, no, I'm Stevie Cade. No, I'm Steven and Stevie. You know, and now like I'm really enjoying this merger of this extrovert that I pretend to be on stage that is now not becoming. I'm not pretending much anymore.
Right.
It's becoming who I am. It goes back to this thing I read where they said if you're not creative and you pretend to be creative, you'll eventually be creative.
Right.
You know, and I think that's where I'm at. Does that make sense?
Almost like fake it till you make it. I hate that.
Right.
I hate that phrase for so many reasons.
Fake it till you make it. If you will, but like it's not ill placed. It makes sense in this conversation,
Yes.
but like. I wanted to be that showman. Like when I was a kid, what did I want to be in? What got me interested in music? Being on stage.
Right.
You know, that was my thing. I wanted to be in front of the lights. And then I realized how scary they really fucking were.
Right.
You know, and then I had to pretend how to not be scared. And
yeah,
now,
you had to pretend that. Like, I want to be here. I swear I do.
But now, like, I still get nervous. I still do the thing. But there's moments where I'm on stage and I'm doing my thing and I feel comfortable. I'm me. Yes, you know, somebody will come up and ask me something. I'll, like, put a copy and paste answer in there because I'm still awkward with talking with people.
Right.
But it's still a part of me. It's part of my evolution. God knows where I'll be, you know, 5-6 years from now in my headspace with that.
Right.
You know, it's interesting. I'm here for the ride. So.
Right. Right.
You all right?
Yeah, I just got knobby knees. I hit them on everything. It's fine.
Well, do you feel good about this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm glad that I kind of, like, I don't know. Like, I was able to see more, I guess, of Steven, if I have to call it that.
You don't have
than
to
Stevie. You know what I mean?
it's
Okay, so like, the
pretentious.
parts of Steven that make Stevie. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, now I sound like the crazy person. Like, but do you know what I'm, like...
I do that to people. Sorry.
No, but I just, like, you know, you, like, meet people and you're like, they've got a story. Like, there's something deeper. So, like, on the outside, it's like, oh, Stevie's a musician and he's great at what he does and, like, he's super talented, but, like, where did it come from? Everybody's got a why. You know what I mean? Everybody's got a why and a how.
Well,
So.
you also have a very interesting perspective of being my neighbor for, 3 years, and we only started talking in the past 1 year?
Yes.
Because I'm so...
Porch beers.
Yeah, I'm
That's
so
how it started.
goddamn reclusive.
Porch beers and pizza.
Like when I tell people this all the time, and a lot of people don't believe me. They're like, Steve, how do you do music? You can't be that introvert. I'm like, dude, seriously. I use this example with you. I'm like, I lived across the street from these guys for 3 years. Didn't realize how cool they were, you know,
Right.
until we got forced into being introduced because
Right.
I still barely know any of these other people,
Mm-hmm.
and because I do my thing, and I don't, people are weird and it's awkward, and now I'm scared of all of you.
Yes,
you know, but,
no, I get it. I get it.
but yeah.
For me, maybe I'm cynical because for me, I don't even feel like it's so much that, like, people are scary, but, like, I don't know. It's a cynical thing.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm like, I'd rather not.
yeah.
And that probably makes me sound like an asshole, but
Well, you are. It's okay.
yes, I
Adopt it.
definitely am, but I don't always like to sound like it out loud. Fuck. Jeez.
But yeah, I don't. Whatever.
I feel like a lot of people suck. And, like, my suck meter is usually pretty, like, right on.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I get different vibes from different neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, sometimes I won't talk to a neighbor because I don't like your vibe. Sometimes I won't talk to a neighbor because I'm not sure if you'll like my vibe.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
you know, and that's the insecurities coming out.
Yep.
You know, that's the insecurities taking over.
Yeah, that's a
and
really good way to put it.
That fear that I've let plague my life for
Yep.
a lot of it. You know, and it's a fun, interesting thing to put myself out there like I do with these podcasts,
Yeah.
and letting you come in and ask me questions I have no idea what you were wanting to ask me.
No, I literally printed these out, like, 10 minutes before I came to your house.
Yeah, you know, and because
Earlier, Casey's like, do you know what you're going to ask Stevie yet? And I was like, nope. That was at, like, 4 o'clock. And so I'm, like, typing. I'm like, this is a good one. This is a good one.
yeah, and
Because if I would have thought about it, it would have been weird, man. Like,
well, and I think it's a good time because I've been not this much, but like I've been interviewed before, and I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't confident behind the mic. I wasn't confident. I was, you know,
Right.
running off the heels of my feet. But like, I felt very good about this conversation. So thank you for reaching out to me.
no, thank you for agreeing to it.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, I get to talk about me. Fuck.
Right.
Let's do it.
Right.
All right, Mindy Wiseman, thank you so much for
Thank you.
Coming to my studio and giving me the interview treatment.
Yeah, you got the hot
appreciate
seat
it.
tonight. Usually everyone else has the hot seat.
That's right. You call it that. I don't see it as that.
Okay, but from my experience with you.
Yeah.
Like, the first podcast is like, I was in the hot seat. I was like over here like, all right, I'm kind of hyperventilating a little bit. Like, let me put my hand between the mic because I'm going to puke if I talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we switched places is all.
Well, did you feel more comfortable? Do you feel comfortable where you're at? Like,
yeah. I didn't feel uncomfortable the first time at all whatsoever.
Well, yeah.
It was just like, I was talking about things and I was like, but then I'm like, I still didn't not talk about it. Like, I'm an open book, but I'm like, shit, buckle up. Here we go. So it was your turn to buckle up a little bit.
I think it was healthy for Robert to be in the studio with you as well. Somebody else to share experiences with in that light. So, all right. Well, Mindy, I'm going to close this out. Is there anything else you want to say? Or all right. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
And peace out, everybody. Oh, but by the way, I will put all the links to Mindy's the Memory Guild, her photography studio, in the description below, so you can go find her and book her for your next photo session. She's amazing. Thank you again, Mindy. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.
Peace. I don't know how to end this shit.